and connecting our justice ministries in ways that we could do something more significant than we had done before. Jennifer told me when I shared with her this dream, she said, "Well, why didn't you do that when I was here?" But we put it together. We interviewed a number of candidates, and your qualifications for this position, your commitment to the church, it was a Presbyterian church at the time, your love of the work that you did out west in California was just a natural fit for us. The regional minister in Northern California at the time, Ben Morin, called me one day and he said, "Hey, I've got a resume here from a Presbyterian that's interested possibly in being considered for the position. Would you consider a Presbyterian?" And I said, "Is she qualified for the position?" He said, "Well, I'm going to send you her resume and earn that your entire ministry." And so I'm grateful that Disciples Home Missions called you to serve in this way, and that you accepted that call, moved west. We were a westward movement. You moved east. You did what not many disciples do. You moved eastward from sunny California, and you made a home there. You found that property in Northeast DC that you've called home these many years. You wed the love of your life, your soulmate, Woody, and you've served this denomination and this church with distinction, integrity, love, and faithfulness. And I will always, always be grateful for that, sister. Thank you for coming and serving in the way that you have all these years.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. We're going to go to Sister Marie Lucy next, and then Sylvia Campbell.
Hi, Sharon. For all you disciple folks, my name is Sister Marie Lucy, and I work with Franciscan Action Network here in Washington, D.C. And Sharon, you're a treasure. You've been a treasure not only for the disciples, but also for the Interfaith Immigration Coalition. I still can't quite believe that you won't be on the team, because you've been such a marvelous leader in so many ways. And especially leading the Holy Days and Holidays Committee. And I know that all your wonderful work that has been shared by others is motivated by your deep faith. And that's been displayed in so many ways. So I am deeply grateful, not only for your work, but for your presence, for your friendship. I'm glad that I don't live too far from you, so I can still be in touch with you and Woody. But my heart is hurting, actually, as you leave, even as I want to bless you with all the wonderful things, peace and all good to you in the Franciscan way. Thank you, Sharon.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Campbell with the National Farm Worker Ministry. I count Sharon as a colleague on the National Farm Worker Ministry, as a colleague who shares my commitment to the immigration and refugee population in our country. And just as a friend who we have lunch together, and we carry buckets, tomato buckets from the Farm Worker Ministry down around Thomas Circle. Many things that I would celebrate that we have done and shared together. I'll keep this brief, but I do want to say that every good word that is said about Sharon, I would be adding an amen in my heart, if not aloud. And I would just tell you from the standpoint of the National Farm Worker Ministry, your tireless, energetic approach to the work in the ministry and commitment to those in the fields who put the foods on our table has been remarkable. It serves as a model for all of our board members and for everyone who actually attends or is near any event that you have been a part of. I'm also bringing a few greetings from my church, Ravensworth Baptist Church, because Ron mentioned Presbyterian and disciples. Well, we call her an Alliance of Baptists. I mean, she's one of us, and we are so appreciative of the ethics seminars that you have helped us to lead and deepen the congregation's understanding regarding this long, hard walk that we have towards justice with immigrants, refugees, and our farm workers. I will miss you, but I'm lucky I live near you, and we will get together soon. And blessings on you for your next big journey. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you. I want to call on Bob Perry and then Alexis Vaughn.
Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to give a word of thanks for Sharon Stanley and the wonderful work she's done. I've tried to coordinate a local group of folk in the capital area to provide support and help to her where possible. I also want to commend her on how she is able to talk people into doing things that they never thought they would do in terms of outreach, in terms of service. And I just think that I like to think of Sharon as a whirlwind of goodness. So I thank you, Sharon, for what you've done.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexis Vaughn. I'm a disciples pastor and also on the board of directors of the Congregation Action Network with Sharon and many others that I see on this call, which is really a reflection of how much Sharon means to folks outside of the disciples world. But and thinking about just what I wanted to share today, I love Sharon so much and have so much just admiration and respect for her. But I remember, I think the very first time I met you, or at least met you in depth, was at an Interfaith Immigration Coalition training in DC back in 2013. And that was a training designed to show people how to have like a meaningful legislative visit with their congresspeople. And you, I think, had brought some friends from Cambodia with you to that training. And, we did all these workshops and activities about how to agitate and how each person in the meeting should have a role and all of that. And what I really appreciated about that moment as a recently unemployed and a recent graduate of seminary was that, you invited your friends to tell their stories, but then invited them to be a part of the space. Like they were doing the trainings with us. They weren't just sort of there for us to hear like sob stories and, feel sorry for them. You really integrated them as part of the group and sort of made impacted folks feel like they were co-conspirators in this justice work with us. And the way that you modeled that for the whole group so seamlessly and so genuinely, I'd never seen before, especially on sort of the general church level. And that wasn't just a one-off. You've always been like that. You've always been someone who deeply loves people, who cares about people's lives. You've given so much of your time and your energy to making sure folks are safe and really modeling what solidarity means in this movement. And I'm deeply appreciative of that. In the disciples role, you probably more than anyone has influenced my career and my trajectory. And I just really appreciate you as a colleague and for your leadership with the Congregation Action Network as well. And I think Omar is after me, so I'll sort of let him pick up that. But I just, want you to know that like so many others, my disciples' heart is grieving deeply today. But I know how much the world needs you and how much this movement needs you. And I am just, praying for you and just really excited about what God has in store for your next move.
Thank you. Omar?
Hi, everyone. My name is Omar Abdul Perez. For those who don't know me, I work for Faith in Action, but I had the great opportunity to work with Sharon, Alexis, Mary, and others in this call. to launch, found, co-lead the work of the Congregation Action Network. I'm just very, very thankful for that opportunity to work with you, Sharon. I was amazed at the way you lead. You always go for the extra mile, no matter what, right? And at the same time, you are very humble and vulnerable. And I really, really, really appreciate that. I learned from you. I learned a lot from you. But at the same time, I knew that you were very, very open to learn from me and from others. And I really appreciate that because that summarizes what being solidarity means and being a good partner, a good ally with a direct impacted community like my community. So I will never forget those times when we were on the front line fighting against ICE, right? Putting leaders in sanctuary, protecting our families, because that was the work that we had to do. That was the call for us. And you were there all the time in the front line with me, with others. And that's what I keep on my heart, on my mind. And yeah, I just when I look for the opportunity to go for a walk or a run in the neighborhood or go get a coffee or something, lunch, since we are neighbors here. So thank you, Sharon. Thank you for all your work and all your commitment.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. There's more to be said in the chat, and we'll have a little bit more time for some more comments later. But we have another presentation we're going to make, and so I'm going to turn it over to Natalie.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Sister Sharon. For folks who don't know me, my name is Natalie Teague. I am Disciples Immigration Legal Counsel, and Sharon and I have been counterparts for the past 2.5 years. But I've held the position since Tana Lubiers left the outset of the pandemic. And Sharon and I have a very special relationship in the sense that she is the only person that I got to meet in person in the first couple of weeks of March 2020 before the pandemic shut everything down. So I joke about that I'm in this remote position where I've never actually gotten to meet any of you in person, but Sharon and I got to have an incredible afternoon together. In DC and going to the International Women's Museum, and just what an incredible foundation for the next 2.5 years. So I have been tasked with trying to give a rundown on what immigration has looked like over the past 10 years and 3 presidential administrations. Spoiler alert, I'm just going to hit the highlights because otherwise we might be here literally all night between this and other reflections, right? But I wanted to share some of this because it's not been easy in the trenches, right? Right, Sharon? I'm trying to see, where'd you go? I want to be able to see your face through this, and I've got like 1,000. There you go. Okay. All right, can everybody see my screen? Yeah, the timeline? All right, we're just gonna hit the highlights here, but so Sharon joined Disciples or DHM in 2013, but I had to start it in 2012, right? I had to start in 2012 when DACA was announced, of course, the program for students, dreamers, deferred action for kids, for folks who would arrive here as kids, right? So that was announced in summer of 2012, and then applications began happening that fall. It was a time that was so exciting, right? Because finally we had undocumented students who were able to get work permits and thus social security numbers and driving and work and driver's licenses and all kinds of good things. And then we got to 2013, and 2013 is when we got marriage equality, right? So the Supreme Court upheld or legalized same-sex marriage in the Obergefell v. Hodges case that summer. That was awesome in the sense that opened up family-based immigration cases for same-sex married couples and families, and just was a huge moment. And in 2014, President Obama tried to expand DACA and also create the program called the Deferred Action for Parental Accountability Program. Sharon, I know that you and my predecessor were looking at all kinds of fundings to do around that, because that would have helped to legalize 2 to 3 million parents of U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, I'll walk over to 2015 for a moment. It got stopped with the first lawsuit with Judge Hainan. We've been dealing with Judge Hainan and DACA issues for a long time, y'all. As we say here in the South, long time. 2014 was also a big year. That was the first year we started really seeing big numbers of unaccompanied minors coming across the border. First year we started seeing lots of gang-based asylum claims coming from Central America. Partially in response to that, that's the first year that our country started detaining whole families, and the Obama administration started detaining children with their parents under the legal theory that the children were not being detained because they were in their parents' custody and we were only detaining the parents, right? And gosh, what a moment that was. And then again, we've already talked about this announcement at the very end of 2014. That's when we thought we were going to get DAPA and DACA, and it was an enormous blow when we lost it in 2015. First as an injunction, then later down the road. 2015, as you see, look, the wheels started slowing down. Congress and Obama started gridlocking. All kinds of things that we're trying to go through didn't go through, right? And then I'm just going to warn folks, I'm getting ready to show a photo. It is a very difficult photo to view. If this is not something, if you have a weak stomach for these things, you might want to just turn away for a second. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is the year so 2015 was also the year that this happened, that Alan Kurdi, a 2-year-old Syrian boy, washed ashore. And that the world finally started to actually start to pay attention to the refugee crisis again. Because there's no way that this is acceptable, right? And I didn't know Sharon at this time, but I would bet my last dollar that Sharon was all over the place doing all kinds of stuff on this. All right, if you were looking away, you can come back. So that was 2015, 2016. An election year, of course, that dominated everything. Justice Scalia also passed away at the beginning of 2016, and the reason why that's here is because his death meant that the Supreme Court was down to only 8 justices. And that was a big issue for a lot of cases, because when you get to a 4-4 split with the Supreme Court, the underlying court case holds. And so the injunction in the DAPA and DACA cases from 2015 died at that point, and we lost a huge opportunity. We also this was the first year that we started seeing lots more migration from Cuba and Haiti. It's always happened, but really started seeing much, much more of that coming through the southern border. And it was also the year that Trump was elected president. Of course, that coming into 2017, from the first day of office, we started to see what the next 4 years would look like. We saw the Muslim travel ban that was in numerous executive orders that slowed refugee resettlement to almost a grinding halt, right? We saw admissions slashed. We saw just blanket discrimination against folks from predominantly Muslim countries. And then ultimately a ban there was a lot of litigation, but ultimately one of the bans ended up staying in place for almost 4 years. I will also say that 2017 was also the year that we really started seeing a lot of backlash from the administration against immigration attorneys and immigration advocates. And so I couldn't, spoiler alert, Sharon, I had to come with my activist t-shirt on today, so I don't know if everybody can see this. See, it's a fist that says dirty immigration lawyer. Yes, indeed. And the reason why that is here is because we had Jeff, let's see if I can get you back, Sharon. We had Jeff Sessions saying we also have dirty immigration lawyers who are encouraging their otherwise unlawfully present clients to make false claims of asylum, providing them with the magic word needed to trigger the credible fear process. That was from our Attorney General, folks, in October of 2017. And can you imagine, right? Oh, Sharon, all the times, right? Yeah, I know. Here we go. 2018, child separation. This is when the administration and it's since been proven and all kinds of things have come to light, but essentially the administration began targeting the separation of children from their parents at the border as a way to essentially try to stop folks from coming through our southern border. That certainly didn't help to stop border admissions, right, folks? And in the meantime, we lost over 500 children, many of whom still have not been found to date. 2018, we also had announcements from the Trump administration to end DACA and TPS, and Sharon has been a warrior. Ooh, let's see. She's holding up something. What do you got? What you got? She's holding up something.
I was taking a screenshot of y'all.
There you go. But y'all, in my first year in 2020, Sharon led weekly prayer vigils, right? To try to bring awareness to the issues of what was happening for DACA recipients and folks who had TPS. And those were absolute highlights of that year and my first year at Disciples. I'll never forget those times. In 2019, that's when the administration finalized a rule trying to say that folks who received all kinds of benefits, basically any type of charitable aid, almost, that's kind of an overstatement, but not too bad, not too much. Folks who had received charitable aid would be excluded or inadmissible to become permanent residents. And that has been something that we've been dealing with up until about a month ago, when finally public charge died for good, which was a very welcome development. You can also see down here the migrant protection protocols process. So that is essentially where folks who came to the southern border trying to seek asylum were sent back to Mexico and had to wait in Mexico until they were metered through and to come through the border. We saw processing delays skyrocket, and then President Biden was elected. Things started changing in 2021. I joke what is happening because Biden would put out an executive order and try to end Trump policies, and then there would be lawsuits, and then some of the courts would allow Trump policies. And so at one point of time, it looked like Biden was going to have to uphold, for example, the MPP program, and it's this whole executive order chaos, right?